All right, Nick, let's talk about the Indianapolis Colts. This is a team that made a lot of big offseason moves. Obviously, when you make a move at quarterback, it really excites things, changes up the landscape of the team, and it's going to be a new change of pace, new change of scenery for everyone in the Indianapolis organization. And that being said, I want to know, Matt Ryan's on your team now, Colts fans. It's got to be pretty exciting. With this new offense, we want to know, what games are you planning on to go see this year? Are you going to go see opening day, see Matt Ryan on his first game as a Colt? Is there other games throughout the season that you think are pretty special games for the organization? Let us know in the comments below. Leave us a comment telling what game you plan on going to this season. But that being said, Nick, there's a couple of other special players on this Colts offense, and I think we're going to talk about some of those today.
Yeah, so this is according to Kevin Hickey over at Colts Wire. The Indianapolis Colts have high hopes for second-round wide receiver Alec Pierce, and there has been no shortage of tests during his first training camp. As if it almost seems to be on purpose, the rookie wideout has been seeing the majority of his reps against the former Defensive Player of the Year and cornerback Stephon Gilmore.
Hmm.
That's a challenge tough enough for even the saltiest of veterans, let alone a rookie going through his first training camp. Product of Cincinnati, Pierce has had a few strong moments at his first training camp, including a beautiful vertical route against third-year cornerback Isaiah Rodgers, which ended in a spectacular back shoulder catch during a 1v1 drill. That video went viral on the internet earlier this year in the training camp with some of the footage from Colts training camp. The report concludes the Colts have high expectations for Pierce during his rookie seasons, and going up against Gilmore every day in practice should only benefit him so long as he responds to the challenge. All right, Maya. So obviously the Colts, kind of a change. You brought up the quarterback position. One of their areas, I won't say of concern, but question mark, was the wide receiver position. And obviously Alec Pierce was drafted to address that position, or at least help alongside Pittman. What do you think of Pierce's growth so far in this Colts offense, and what he could do this season?
Well, I love the quip about Gilmore being glued to the hip, and they say intentionally almost covering Pierce on like every route. Because, like they say, the old adage, iron sharpens iron. You put your best on your best, and you're going to all get better at the end of the day. And it seems like they think Pierce is one of their better receivers right now, and he's going up against, obviously, I think almost even the best player on that team in Stephon Gilmore. There's been a lot of reports in camp that he's been doing really well as well. But Stephon Gilmore on Pierce is going to make Pierce better. And you go up against a corner like that every day in practice, you're going to go up against a lesser corner. We just talked about the Bengals. The guy that pops in my head is like an Eli Apple. He's
Yeah,
no
exactly.
Stephon Gilmore,
Yeah.
but he's okay. But Pierce is going to have to go up against Gilmore all the time. Then he's going to be matched up against a guy like that. It's gonna be a little bit easier for him, getting the crap beat out of you every day in practice. You go up against a little bit subpar opponent, and you're like, okay, this isn't so bad. I can do this. I'm here now, and I really think that's gonna be a big one for Pierce, who by all accounts is a very good. He's decent size, a very athletic guy. I've heard a lot of reports about his hip movement. He gets really deep into his breaks. Got a lot of fluidity in his hips. He seems like a really smooth player, crisp route runner. So I think that that'll be very good for the Colts, especially for Matt Ryan. But by all accounts, do you agree with that, Nick? Do you think that this iron sharpening iron is going to make it seem like Pierce is one of the favorites in camp?
Yeah, I think that plays a big role, especially when you consider the Colts offense. Obviously, this is a running football team led by Jonathan Taylor and that powerful offensive line. So they're going to be running the football, play action, and Pittman is the number one guy. So what does that mean? It means, a guy like Pierce is going to get favorable matchups. He's not going when he plays another team like you brought up the Bengals. He's not even going to go up against their best corner, and like an Eli Apple in that case, it would be their second or third best corner because teams are going to prioritize stopping Michael Pittman, who is obviously their number one receiver for the Colts. So when you factor that in as well, it's going to be an even bigger delta and a bigger advantage for Pierce as it goes through the season. But there's one other note here that I think a lot of people are sleeping on a little bit is the fact that former Colt, all-time great Colt Reggie Wayne being the position coach for this young and very talented wide receivers group. Let's not sleep on that here. Having a guy like Reggie Wayne kind
Oh
of
yeah.
leading up and being a mentor and understanding and kind of relaying the fundamentals of the game and things like that could be huge for this group. Because I remember Reggie Wayne when he was playing for the Colts. Obviously, he was a great athlete and great hands and great route runner. But I always thought his relationship with Peyton Manning, to have that much level production with a guy like Manning, you have to be a smart player, good route runner, team guy, understand the fundamentals, understand the nuances of the game at a very, very high level. So he's going to pass a lot of that knowledge and experience onto guys like Pierce and, of course, Pittman and Paris Campbell and the rest of the group. And I think that's one of those hidden advantage for the Colts receiver room this offseason going into the regular season, is that this entire group, while on paper doesn't look as talented as some other teams' position groups, that extra advantage of having like a Reggie Wayne behind the scenes could, give them that extra push to be the level of production they need at that group.
Yeah, no, I love Reggie Wayne's addition to this Colts training staff. And another thing I want to touch on, another bright spot for Pierce, and this was a bright spot for him in college as well. Coming out of college, people talk about how he beats guys is he can stack the corners so easily. He is a go ball master, and they say his vertical route tree is unparalleled. He was the master of blowing by, and they say subpar opponents, the teams that Cincinnati played, a receiver of Pierce's caliber. He could really fly by some guys on the vertical route tree. And I really like the point that you brought up that Pittman is obviously going to be the number one guy going into the beginning of the season. So Pierce isn't even going to be on the best corner that team has. So he might open up the vertical game a lot for Matt Ryan. And I think the main thing here is a guy like Pierce, what Colt fans should be excited about is going to take a lot of the weight off of Jonathan Taylor's shoulders. So Pierce, Ryan, Pittman are really going to open up the running game for Jonathan Taylor. So I really like this addition.
How about the trust that's got to be developing between Ryan and Pierce? Obviously, there's reports that Ryan is, really pushing his teammates and really taking a strong leadership role right out the gate. And the fact that Pierce is getting those reps against a guy like Gilmore, that's going to, build a lot of that relationship and trust between him and Ryan. So I almost expect Pierce to be really strong out of the gate. I don't think there's going to be any sort of, development time, reaction time to being an NFL player. I think he's going to be an impact player really early in this Colts offense.
All right, Nick, it's time to get your internet privacy back today on every device you own in any country you want. Don't let anyone but you control your internet. NordVPN keeps you safe from prying eyes wherever you go online with their military-grade encryption. Is your favorite Netflix or streaming content blocked in the US? You can simply connect to one of the many countries available with NordVPN and get the access you need.
That's right, Maya. So right now, get our exclusive NordVPN deal here at nordvpn.com/SMI. It's risk-free now with NordVPN's 30-day money-back guarantee. Again, get that exclusive deal, nordvpn.com/SMI.